We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Footballs. Peek around the corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this Rebel Outpost channel of all college football YouTube channels with a donation. Hit the $, put a comment in, and we'll get you a super chat as soon as possible. Welcome into the studio that sits on the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway in Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. The great Matt Baker of the Tampa Bay Times. Now, you know in PATC, we use the great for a college football reporter, a sports reporter that consistently goes above and beyond in reporting college football information. I use the word great in front of Brett McMurphy, the great Brett McMurphy. Starting today, PATC is going to be using the adjective great in front of Matt Baker, the Tampa Bay Times, because he did it again. He did it again. He has given all of us an Osceola update, a Florida State update, using FOIA and all the other tools at his disposal. There at the Tampa Bay Times, Matt Baker has given us a little bit more information. Very, very interesting. We are going to break down his column. We provide a link. Go read the whole thing. We are very excited to go through it. He drops a couple bombs in the article. One of them is Florida State, part of their Osceola Project, one of their goals is to get out of the conference by 2026. Now, that's a date we've been throwing around here, 2026, 2027. Don't think 2025 is in the cards. We'll see. But they put down the words 2026 in the Osceola Project. Now, a lot of the information that Matt Baker gives us, it's all redacted. A lot of it is redacted, but he was able to get some parts out of it. He answers the question, or it sort of gets answered in Matt Baker's article about private equity. Sounds like Florida State has gone way down the road on using private equity. Can some of that private equity be used? Are they planning to use some of that possibly to pay to get out of the ACC, to use those funds potentially to pay off the ACC? Maybe. It's really not quite answered in the article because, again, things are redacted, but there was some subject lines, some information that didn't quite get redacted that might be giving us a little bit of an answer. We believe that Florida State, if they go down this road, if they do get some private equity money, and the article is going to explain how that's going to be done, could be used for capital projects, right? The stadium and other things. But then the money that comes from the boosters, that can be flowed into paying off the ACC, the grant of rights. Anyways, we're going to get into it. Very, very interesting. Great work by the great Matt Baker of Tampa Bay Times. We're going to go through that article at the second half of the monologue. The first half of the monologue is Matt Hayes, Saturday Down South, writes an article, The Cold War is over for now between the SEC and the Big Ten. But now what? Now what happens? He goes through a little bit of the history and why the relationship between the SEC and the Big Ten was not good. He used Kevin Warren as an example. That's an obvious one. But I got to tell you, the relationship between the two conferences were not good before Kevin Warren occupied the seat of the Big Ten commissioner. The article comes from a more southern perspective. Maybe I can add a little bit of a fat guy from Minnesota northern perspective to the article. But the Cold War is over. Now what? So, and if we have time, we have a stacked show today. But if we have time, we're going to be going over some of the data that we received from Bill Conley at ESPN Plus. I did an episode on it early this morning. I don't know. We released it maybe 7 o'clock this morning. For members, early peak members, they got a hold of the information. It was returning production for each of the 134 FBS schools. What does that mean? Does it correlate into extra wins, extra points? If you have offensive production coming back, defensive production coming back? Yes, it does. There is correlation. It's not fail-proof, obviously. But it does get some correlation. And there is a list, the 134 schools, who has the least amount of production returning, who has the most. And we went through that in an early peak episode for members only. If you want to become an early peak member, if you want to get to see those episodes, just hit the join button. We also released episode 367 this morning. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. That episode is, of course, for everybody. Episode 367, Kirk Schultz, Washington State's president, is the last holdout, the last remaining holdout for the playoff manager, the playoff committee, who's meeting today in Dallas, Texas, today, Tuesday. Kirk Schultz is the last holdout remaining to be able to change that model from 6+6 to 5+7. What is he holding out for? Do I think he's going to get what he wants? If we have time, we'll get to it in this live show. If not, well, we're going to get our answer, hopefully, by this evening on what happened there. If you want to become a member, just hit the join button. Check that episode out. Before we get to our two major stories, there's a whole lot of big stories out there. In fact, PATC community, keep your head on a swivel, because we could be getting reports out of Dallas, Texas during this live show. They're trying to get their arms around a whole lot of other issues. We did get, look, there at least was a compromise, an SMU compromise. They're not going to be getting Power 5 autonomy for Power 4 playoff distribution. They're not going to get paid out at that level, but they're going to SMU is going to get paid out at a higher level than the G5 schools. That was the compromise to get that issue settled. But there's a whole lot of more issues that they need to get done to find consensus on. So we're going to be covering that if it breaks during our live show. So let me thank everybody first that have come on in. First of all, our super chat. John Teal, Washington fired Eric Bieniemy. Hey, UCLA, just saying the Washington Commanders fired him. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it so very much, John. Is Chip Kelly, is he going to end up at Ohio State? Is that what's going to happen? Is Bill O'Brien, who has an interview today with Boston College, the new offensive coordinator for the Buckeyes, he's interviewing for the head coaching job at Boston College. Is he going to leave? And is Chip Kelly going to be the new offensive coordinator of the Ohio State Buckeyes? Maybe I will put a poll question out later in the show, in the chat room. Let me thank everybody for coming on in. Patrick Baylor, he is in the house. Kirk Bender is in the house. David Hackett, John Teal, James Foster, Caden's dad, Cornelius Green, praise the Lord, Greg, you got that right. Nick Boardman is in the house. Stephen Clark is in the house. John Bennett is in the house. Laura Weiss, Texas Tech Red Raider is in the house. Anthony Palika, Gary is in the house. Paul Clifton is in the house. Mr. Jim Reese is in the house. Keep that head on a swivel. Secret agent is lurking. Jay Go Blue is in the house. Jared Jones, FSU 11 is in the house. Holy smokes. Caden's dad, D5 Terps, Joe Z is in the house. The Grateful Trojan is in the house. Buckshot Kid is here. Salt of the Earth is here. Jason Kunn is here. I think the Raiders' offensive job coordinator has been filled. I'm not sure on that. I'm losing track on that. Canes All Day is in the house. Buckeye in Texas is in the house. Right of the line, early peak member. I saw the Clemson Tiger leave the stage. Yes. It's completely quiet. Complete silence. We've taken the L on Sunday. We've taken the L on Monday. We'll go ahead and take the L today. We reported on November 15th that we were told by Florida State, because they've been, the Florida State Money Purge, been in communication with some pretty high level people at Clemson. Clemson and Florida State have been communicating this whole time. It was perceived, it was thought that Clemson would follow Florida State into the state of South Carolina court. It hasn't happened. And the date range was January 20 to February 6. A couple weeks ago, something odd happened. About January 25th, 26th, 27th, we reported to you all that nobody can even get an interview with anybody from Clemson. Graham Neff, off the radar. Everybody, off the radar. Nobody is talking. Nobody will grant an interview. Nothing. It doesn't. Complete shutdown. So we don't even know. We don't even know the reason we can even, why we're taking the L. But we're taking the L. That's what we do here at Peek Around the Corner. Don't know the reason why. The winter meetings start February 15th. Florida State might be shut out of participation. Florida State, just think of this. Florida State might get shut out of participating in relevant meetings. Anything that has to do with taking a vote, for example. Because their voting rights might be taken away. That's what the ACC is trying to get done as soon as possible. Trying to get an injunction done. What if they get it done? Well then, so Florida State goes to the ACC meetings, or maybe they don't even show up. They don't get to participate. They don't get to talk. But Clemson gets to hear everything. And Clemson has done everything. They hired a firm, a consultant firm. They've talked with private equity. They've done it all. They knew exactly what Florida State's argument was going to be when they filed the suit on December 22nd. They've communicated. In fact, it's been reported, and we've been told this as well, but it's been reported in public. Florida State and Clemson have talked. So has Clemson in North Carolina. Clemson has not pulled the trigger. And we were told that they were going to pull the trigger anytime that would be valuable for this year. It would be before the February 15th winter meeting. We were told that all the way back, a few days even before November 15th. But we finally went on live and reported that. So yes, we're taking the L. Yes. After today, Clemson is not going to be at the center of the stage. You guys are correct. And it's the very first time in the Holy Smokes Theater that we're going to have to, you know, that big long, what is that called? The big long hook. You know, where you take somebody off the stage in those comedies and those cartoons where they're staying on the stage too long and they don't need to be there anymore, and you hook them and you pull them off the stage. I need somebody to do an artwork that has that big long hook that hooks around the Clemson tiger or the Clemson paw and brings it back off the stage. I need somebody to draw up that artwork for me. You're absolutely correct. We're on the verge of taking Clemson off the center of the stage. Something we didn't have to do with Colorado. Something we didn't have to do with Florida State. Something we didn't have to do with Arizona when they were at the edge of the stage. Clemson was thought that Clemson, all indications behind the curtain that they were going to pull the trigger. They haven't pulled the trigger. But it's even beyond that. They haven't pulled the trigger, and nobody can get a hold of them. Okay, let's say a couple of weeks ago we said that people are trying to set up just try to get any comment or any interviews about anything at Clemson. But there was nothing there. Since we reported that, and it was at least 2 weeks ago, still nothing. Nothing. From national, from the local, nothing. They won't pick up the phone. I tell you what, the first time a Clemson Tigers an administrator, anybody, I don't care who it is, president of the student council, the next person that says something in public, let me know here at Peek Around the Corner. Send me a DM at at Flug Empire. Let me know in the chat if it ever happens again. My goodness. And is Clemson, they haven't even acknowledged what Florida State has done. Everybody else has. Everybody else has. They're not spending their time talking about it. They're, it's in the court and everything. But everybody else has. Everybody. North Carolina, Miami, everybody's talked about it. But Clemson, who is supposed to be not the tip of the spear, but at least the shaft, what is going on? I don't have the answer for you. I don't know if it's internal. I don't know why they don't come out and say what Miami said. Let's take a look at that. Why don't they just come out and say, let's see if I can, why don't they just say this? Why isn't it Clemson athletic director says Clemson is an interested observer with Florida State taking actions toward leaving the ACC? But right now, Clemson is proud members of the ACC. They won't even say that. They won't even say that. So, not only, look, there's a mystery with what is going on here. And everybody's trying to figure it out. But if they're not talking, they're not talking. But they got to talk at the winter meetings. Are they going to wait all the way to the winter meetings? And nobody, look, we got big stories to get to, but I saw, there's a couple of comments about Clemson should be off the center of the stage. The reason why, the major reason why people believed if Clemson was going to pull the trigger, and they thought they would do it around at the very end. February 6th was the range, because Clemson wasn't going to pull the trigger, at least for the year 2024, after the winter meetings, because it would be, as Immaculate said it, it's been said in all different other ways, it would be in bad faith. I'm not going to go into the winter meetings, hear all the discussions. Possibly some of them about the Florida State case, because maybe Florida State is not invited in those meetings. You're not going to go into those meetings and then come out and say 6 weeks later, we're suing the ACC. The timing, it's bad faith. So they're not pulling the trigger in this year or before August 15th. So they're going to wait until the winter meetings to give us any little indication that they're just an interested observer, like the Miami Hurricanes. They're going to wait all the way to the winter meetings when everybody knows they're going to be poking the microphone at them. Again, why doesn't the Clemson athletic director come out, Graham Neff, and say this? Just have a little simple 5-minute give and take with the reporter. I don't know. There's something going on. What is this, Justin Lucas? What is this? ESPN, Fox, and Disney is making a streaming service? Oh, God. Okay. I got it, Justin. I got it. I'm calling a timeout! I'm calling a timeout! Stop! Not you, Justin. Not you. Not you. You keep doing what you're doing, Justin. You keep sending me the DMs. You keep putting your head on a swivel. I'm talking about everybody else. The college football world. Stop. I'm calling a timeout. No, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. We got major stories stacking up. I can't even do a live show. I can't even do a live show. Yes, the moderator's in the house, is in the studio. Maria, we have another big breaking story. I was just telling the moderator, the one who rules with an iron fist, I've been working on this live show. Everyone's going crazy. I can't do a live show. Maria, I might be on here for 3 hours, 4 hours. Yes, dear. Say out loud so people can hear you. They can hear you if you say something out loud.
Hi, everybody.
Can you hear? Did you hear? Peek around the corner. Say, did you hear Maria say hi?
Hello, everyone.
Thumbs up if you heard Maria. Maybe you're too far away from the mic.
Hola.
She said hola. Okay.
¿Cómo se va? Привет. Bye.
I don't know. Okay. Okay, so we got breaking news. Breaking news. I can't even get to the other major stories because now we got another major breaking story. Sportical breaking. Fox, Warner Brothers, and Disney are creating a sports streaming product that is set to launch later this year. The service will be available on ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max subscribers, and each company will own 1/3 of the product. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Wow. Max is owned by Warner Brothers. Huh. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time processing this. I'm going to call another timeout. I got a lot of questions. John Teal, thank you for your super chat. Clemson should call Notre Dame the Yellow Belly Tigers. Thank you for your super chat so much. The Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. It's obvious to me that Clemson is waiting to see what happens with Florida State. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan Willie. Ryan, if you missed it, go to the early peak episode this morning. There's some good news. In the data for your Evil Badgers. So Ryan Willie, check that out. Immediate consolidation. Brian Stenberg is media expert. It says it's a game changer. I guess I got no more timeouts left. No Paramount, no CBS. I'm sorry. I got big major stories to cover today, but a nuclear bomb just went off. People are scattering. I was yelling so loud, the little general ran into the studio. She knows I pointed out what's going on. We're going to do the best we can to cover this massive story on a massive scale. I'm looking for an article. This is breaking news. Nobody has really written anything up. Justin, anybody else in the chat, DM me the first time somebody forms an article around this. I've got questions. Right off the bat. Marcus Williams, new streaming service, Big Ten, SEC can now join forces. Marcus Williams, yes. Thank you for your super chat. Look, yes. I mean, the Big Ten Network, Big Ten Network, SEC Network, ACC Network, now it's going to be on a streaming platform. Same streaming platform. Warner Brothers, who's trying to get into the college football space. I know they're trying to get their AEW on a streaming platform. You know what? I'm going to open up the phone lines. Look, let me know. Yeah, this changes everything. You are correct, Patrick. ESPN wanted to offer all sports through a platform, even to other providers. It was going to be a hub. This is even more. This is even more. We're trying to get our arms around this, ladies and gentlemen. This is, everybody's owning a third on this. Warner Brothers, ESPN, and Fox. Holy smokes. Let me open up the phone lines. See if anybody's brain is working, because unfortunately, your host is stunned, incoherent. I've already called 3 timeouts. I've got no more timeouts for the first half of the show. Everybody is, thank you, Nathan Brown. I do not think I have. Nathan Brown sent me, good gracious. I don't have a subscription. I do not have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. This service will be available to ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max subscribers. So, it's not a stand... So it's not a standalone. It's not a standalone streaming service. The service will be available to Hulu, Max, and ESPN. Well, first of all, everybody's ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max subscriptions are going to go up. Now, maybe, phone lines are open. Maybe this, the possibility, maybe it won't even affect college football. I'm thinking like, Fox has that NASCAR. We need information on this. What type of sports is going to be on this platform, streaming platform, in which Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers are going to share? It might not have anything to do with college football. It might grow into that. I'm having a hard time with this because the SEC network, the Big Ten network, we know that Fox has not gone into the streaming game. They haven't been interested in getting into the streaming space. So I don't know why they would put their content on a streaming platform that would induce subscriptions to ESPN Plus. Some of this doesn't make sense to me. Okay, let me Oh, we're going to be here a while because we got all types of stuff to get through. The article I sent from Variety goes into detail. I don't see that, Justin. Can you resend that to me? I do not see. All I'm seeing is Wall Street Journal. And I don't have a subscription to it.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate, the floor is yours. I'm looking for an article that I can actually read on this.
Yeah, I was trying to look at that Wall Street Journal. I couldn't get into it. It's not. Ways are not open yet, so I don't know what's in there. I don't have a subscription to that either. In terms, at this point in time, I think we're all just kind of a little shocked by this.
Andrew Machon has tweeted ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery Sports starting joint streaming service in what could be a landmark agreement the networks announced.
There's a whole lot of groups coming together right now that we probably never would have thought previously would be coming together. I think that's a pretty big sign of there's a whole lot of stressors in the situation right now, and lawsuits and everything. And this isn't just college football, but I do believe college football is part of this.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if college football is a part of it, but I can see a whole lot of other things more easily being a part of it. I'm having difficult trying to figure out why, because
on the Sportico, they're just basically saying, at Wall Street Journal who had this first, but they're showing a picture of a professional football team. So I would say I don't think college football is the main focus of this.
Well, is it any focus of it? Is my question.
My question would be, why wouldn't it be part of this? Why wouldn't they add this to it?
Okay. For example, we know Fox. I'm just being devil's advocate. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. But let's say we know that Fox, for example, owns 61% of the Big Ten network. The Big Ten network is on, streaming packages, on cable packages. You can do a Big Ten network BTN Plus and get some softball game. Okay, so if that content is delivered on an ESPN, Hulu, and Max, does Fox own part of Hulu?
Yeah.
How much do they own of Hulu?
I thought that I know originally Hulu was 25% from each of the four majors.
Okay.
CBS, NBC, Fox, and ABC, Disney. Now, I thought Disney took over more of it, because I think NBC got out in order to go do Peacock, and CBS maybe got out to do Paramount Plus. But I think it was still Disney and Fox in there, because Fox didn't have any other service to go to. So I think that they're basically just, this is going to be bring that all together. I think we're probably going to see Big Ten Network content streamed on there, because we kind of known like they're going to have to do something with the Big Ten Network going into the future like that.
Yeah, we got okay. We do have a little article. I'm just Immaculate. Please stay on the line. Do you have time?
Yeah. Yeah, good. I just came in here to hang out
because I'm lost. The host has already used up 3 timeouts in the first half of our show. It's not even the first half of our show. So my head is spinning. I'm going to show this article. It's up on the screen. It's a short one from John Lewis, Wall Street Journal, ESPN, Fox, WBD to launch joint sports streaming service. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery are partnering on a new joint sports streaming service that will launch later this year. The Wall Street Journal was first to report Monday. It was not immediately clear whether the service, which will be available on ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max, will include linear sports properties such as NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball games. WBD is the only of the 3 companies that streams its linear properties direct to subscriber, having just months ago launched a Bleacher Report branded sports tier on Max that includes all games carried by TNT and TBS. Currently, ESPN streams only certain properties via its ESPN Plus service, primarily college athletics, the NHL, and international sporting events. Only a handful of the major league games carried on linear ESPN networks are available directly to subscriber. As Fox Corporation has no paid streaming service, sporting events carried by Fox and FS1 have not been available without a cable subscription. Additional details to come as they're reported. It does not mention college in here. Now, we do have somebody in the chat. That is telling us that college football is mentioned somewhere, somehow. Justin Lucas in the chat, please resend me. I don't see this article that you sent me. Justin Lucas, somebody send me an article from Variety talking about college football connected to this. I do not see that in my DMs. Bearcat Steve, Disney owns 67% of Comcast. Comcast owns 33% of Hulu. Right of Line is saying, you're right, they bought out Comcast in December. I don't know. Everybody's telling me about this Variety article. Send me the Variety article in a DM, please. Please, somebody send it to me. Sorry, Macklett, go ahead.
I found it.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah, I'm getting it right now.
Could be a grand conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. Could be a grand conspiracy where they're not letting me get this article. Okay, I got it from Justin.
All right, I sent you too.
Okay, I'm going to read this. Can you hang on the line, Immaculate?
Yeah, I'm kind of reading it as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Warner, Fox, Disney to launch streaming sports joint venture. Hold on, the moderator has come in. Hold on, everybody. Yeah, we're good. Warner, Fox, Disney to launch streaming sports venture. Let me get this so everybody can see it. If you're just joining us, massive breaking news on a scale that I am not even sure we can even measure. Warner, Fox, Disney to launch streaming sports venture. It's a game changer. Fox Corp, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Disney are set to launch a new streaming joint venture that will make all of the sports programming available under a single broadband roof. A move that will put content from ESPN, TNT, and Fox Sports on a new standalone app. So it is a standalone app. And then it's going to be in other, holy smokes. In the process, likely shake up the world of TV sports. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. The three media giants are slated to launch the new service in the fall. Subscribers would get access to linear sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, ABC, Fox, FS1, FSU, BTN, TNT, TBS, True TV, and ESPN Plus, as well as hundreds of hours from the NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, and many top college divisions of, obviously. I wonder if that means some tier 2-1 games. Pricing will be announced at a later date. Each of the company would own 1/3 of the new outlet and license. There is sports content to it on a non-exclusive basis. The service would have a new brand and independent management team. The concept surfaces as traditional media companies are grappling with the migration of sports. The concentration of top sports under one roof would be significant. Between them, ESPN and Warner has most rights to NHL and NBA, while Fox, Warner, and ESPN control at present the majority of rights to Major League Baseball. Only the NFL would enjoy a large presence with entities that are not a part of the joint venture. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. Immaculate, take the floor. It's all yours. Justin, thank you very much for the heads up, keeping your head on a swivel. And everybody else in the chat, we're going to get to your comments. I'm going to get to you super chats. Hey, Immaculate, let me get to the super chats quickly here.
Yep.
And I'll get to you as quick as I can. Yes, Marcus Williams, you're more correct than you were 20 minutes ago. And you were correct 20 minutes ago, sir. John D, ESPN's wish on being the live sports hub. This is different than this, though, right? This is hub plus 1,000. This is John Teal. Thank you for your super chat, John D, Mr. Seminole, John. But when the Pack tried to go streaming, it was garbage. Well, for the Pack, it was never going to work. Well, and look, I guess, let me get to the super chat. John Teal, thank you so much. Hero75, Fox Sports is working with ESPN is because the Murdochs who own Fox Sports got a boatload of Disney stock when Disney bought Fox Movie Studio and the share of Hulu a couple years ago. Thank you for your super chat, Hero75. I do appreciate it. I mean, okay. Let me, I'm going to give you the floor, Immaculate. I just want to preface this by saying, or give everybody a question in the chat. Is everybody saying that the big noon football game, let's just pretend, the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks on Fox at 12 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Central, that game and an ESPN game, is all that's going to be on the we can find all that stuff on the standalone app. Is that what we're saying? Immaculate, the floor is yours.
You look like it's going to be interesting to see how much of like a time period there is between the live showcasing of it and when we can see it on this app. That would be my big question. How much of a delay do we have?
Yeah, but But hopefully, if I'm on the standalone app and I'm on the FS1 channel on this app, and I see my Minnesota Golden Gophers getting blown out by 35 points, I can switch over quickly to another game on this app, correct? I could go to an SEC network game, or a game on the ACC network, or a game that's on Big 12 now on ESPN Plus very quickly, hopefully, right?
I would say if that's the case, and with this live, then this is basically planning for the death of cable.
This is the death of cable.
What's holding up cable right now? It's live
sports.
And if this can all be found away from cable, live, like not, held back or not anything like that, then that's a wrap. I could be wrong. I could be looking at this, a little too, we're just looking at this right now, so it could be a wrong take, but if that's all the content that is holding up cable. And as some people are saying in chat, this is also kind of a direct shot at what YouTube TV is pulling up. Like basically, wait. They're doing something good. We can't let them run too far ahead with that. So, I mean, this might be kind of a block on what YouTube TV is starting to build up. But to bring all those powers together to do this, that's a pretty significant event for companies that you would think never really wanted to work together. But it did kind of start with Disney purchasing the studios from Fox, and so maybe we should have seen this coming. I don't know. But
It's hard to see all this stuff coming, man. We're getting hit daily on this stuff.
yeah, someone was joking with me, and they're in chat, but what else is going to happen this year? My question is, what's going to happen tomorrow? I mean, I don't know. It's
What's happening today in Dallas?
Is going to be wild, but this is basically a daily roller coaster ride.
Okay, I got another. Thank you, Justin. He sent me something else here. I don't know. I'm a little dazed. Alex Sherman from CNBC. Let me make it so people can read this along with me. Immaculate, if you want to go, that's fine. Stay close though. Give me a call back when you got,
Yeah. Let you get your head around this. I'm kind of at the same point. Like I just thought I'd call in just to chat with you there while you're looking at this, but this is unfolding right now, so we're both kind of wrapped up in it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I got the phone lines closed just for the moment, and then I'm going to open it up for more for callers. Okay, we're kind of scrambling here. We're all trying to get our arms around this, but this has the ability to be the biggest story affecting college. Now, this is a college football YouTube channel. My focus is on college football, but it has big effect a lot of different areas. Okay, so let me pop up on the screen. I'll get to your comments as soon as possible, and I will open up the phone lines as soon as possible. I promise you. Alex Sherman, ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers, Discovery to launch joint sports streaming platform this year. The key points: ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery plan to launch a joint sports streaming service later this year. The platform, which will be owned by a newly formed company with its own leadership team, does not yet have a name or price, but it's going to be opening up later this year. They got a lot of work to do. The product will be a skinnier bundle of linear networks than a standard cable offering, specifically tailored for sports fans. Holy smokes. Walt Disney, ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery plan to launch a joint sports streaming service this fall, giving consumers a new way to access marquee live sports for the first time, the company said Tuesday. The platform will be owned by a newly formed company with its own leadership. Disney, Fox, Warner Brothers will each own 1/3. Consumers will be able to subscribe directly via new app. Oh man. Subscribers would also have the ability to bundle the product with the company's streaming platforms Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. The product will be a skinnier bundle of linear networks than a standard cable offering. From Disney, that includes ESPN with its sister networks such as ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, as well as ABC Broadcast. Warner Brothers Discovery Networks that showcase sports are TNT, TBS, and True TV. Fox will include the Fox broadcast station along with FS1, FSU, and BTN. Oh my goodness. The launch of the product will not stop ESPN from offering a full direct-to-consumer streaming product, which Disney is still researching, according to a person familiar with the matter. The competitors expect to form the joint service at a time when the value of sports media rights is spiking, but viewers have moved away from watching on a traditional cable. Wow. Wow. Cable. If you have stock in cable, YouTube TV, I don't know what the price of that to pay for that monthly streaming app. It's going to be a lot. Canes all day. This is basically ESPN and Fox cutting Xfinity and other cable operators out of the sports business. Could the Big 12 get a network channel now too? You know, that's another thing. They must have a lot of this worked out. If you buy the app, if I'm a consumer and I buy the app and I get all these, I don't know what you even call them anymore, channels, networks, what percentage of that overall pie, what percentage of that money goes to ESPN and what goes to Warner Brothers Discovery and what goes to Fox? I mean, I know they all own 1/3, but ESPN is offering more channels. I mean, if I buy the streaming app, I'm getting the whole thing, the skinnier bundle, but I'm getting all of it. What percentage of that goes to the Big Ten network? What percentage of that goes to the SEC network? Are they both getting 15 cents off whatever, like, how are they going to, Yes, the Big 12 has a contract with Fox and Disney. their content will be on the streaming service as well. Their Big 12 Now third tier content is not tied to subscriptions or to ad rates. The Big 10 network is. The SEC network is. The ACC network is. So the Big 12 Now is different. Great for Trojan. Does that damage the Big 10 with the contracts with NBC and CBS? Well, the Big 10 has a nice little streaming. So those 8 football games on Peacock and these basketball games, Big 10, that's not going to be on this app because NBC Peacock is not involved. Richard L., what happens to Notre Dame? I don't know, man. I mean, when they play on the ACC network, they're going to be on the app. But their NBC games won't be on the app. Okay. Let me show you on the screen here. This is ESPN. Thank you, Justin. ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers, Discovery forming joint venture to launch streaming sports services in the U.S. This is by Olivia Corral. This is the ESPN Public Relations Department. We'll bring together sports linear networks and direct-to-consumer service, ESPN Plus. Offering to include NFL, NBA, WNBA, MLB, NHL, NASCAR, college sports, UFC, PGA Tour, golf, Grand Slam tennis, FIFA World Cup, cycling, and more. The service will be offered through a standalone app built from the ground up for the passionate sports fan. Holy smokes. I am living a dream right now. ESPN, a subsidiary of the Walt Discovery, reached understanding, principal terms. The platform brings together companies' portfolios of sports networks, certain direct-to-consumer sports services, sports rights, including content from all the major professional sports league and college sports. The formation of the pay service is subject to the negotiation of definite agreements amongst the parties. The offering is scheduled to launch in the fall of 2024. The fall of 2024 is right around the corner. The platform would aggregate content to offer fans an extensive, dynamic lineup of sports content, aiming to provide a new and differentiated experience to serve sports fans, particularly those outside of the traditional pay TV bundle. The sports networks will include ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, ABC, Fox, FS1, FSU, BTN, TNT, TBS, True TV, as well as ESPN Plus. Okay, let me open up the phone lines. Phone lines are open. Give us a call. What does this all mean, or what could it mean? What could all this mean? This is shaking up a lot of people. Wow.
Call from
Jamie Thornton.
Jamie Thornton, the floor is yours.
Woo pig suey, Greg. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing okay. We're hanging on.
Well, it's just another off-season day for college football, right? Not much happening.
No, not much happening. We're going to get to our big story in a little bit here. Hopefully in the next 5 minutes or so. Florida State, Matt Baker, Tampa Bay Times. Holy smokes. We haven't even touched on it yet for the first hour and 20 minutes, but I promise everybody we're going to get to that big story. Go ahead, Jamie. The floor is yours.
Yeah, and then this bomb drops, right? Like it's just something else every day. And not to steal immaculate thunder, but the point I think, we were talking about, and I don't know what order, but you see the SEC and Big Ten come out and work together, right? We're going to explore. We're going to have this committee. We're going to see what we need to do. And then we have this happening, right, where you have the two giants, essentially, or three technically, but you have these giants, of course, that we know as Fox and ESPN working together now. Has anyone given thought to the kind of money that we're talking about now? Everyone keeps talking about how much money, right, to bring these schools in and it's going to cost, but how much money is ESPN? How much money is Fox going to make between the college football playoffs, this new app? I mean, they are looking at every possible way to tap in to huge profits here. And anybody that thinks in the old traditional way of college football, they need to just get that out of their head, right? I mean, that's just the bottom line here. I mean, these guys, if it doesn't make money, they wouldn't be doing this. But it's gotten to the point where this is just incredible, right? I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, this is going to be something with streaming, and you kind of, I don't know, you kind of feel bad about what happened with the Pac, right? But they definitely, streaming is definitely the way of the future, and it's very difficult to predict. You still do. It does seem like you still need at this point cable subscribers and so forth, but it's just growing more and more every day, and this is just another way to bring in money that people are going to get connected
This is
to.
a streaming deal that connects Warner Brothers, Fox, and ESPN.
Right. So you can, all your teams, right? Like you said, I mean, this seems like such a huge win for, even the Big 12 at this point, I mean, they have both Fox and ESPN, but you kind of see it. I was kind of talking about it. I don't want to quite call it Power 3, I guess, technically, but if the ACC falls apart, this is the kind of stuff where you can stream. That would leave 3 big conferences left, and you're going to be able to stream on that app all of these different, content. It's just amazing. It really is all in one place.
Now, there's some comments in the comments section saying that this deal doesn't have anything to do with the conferences. Yeah, most of this deal this is big news for the NBA. I mean, this is huge, okay? But this is a college football channel. This does have something to do with the conferences. It does. In the Big Ten, I'm just going to talk about the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC. This could actually be really good news for the ACC. I'm not sure. I still think there's going to be some. Boy, this is interesting. I don't mean to take your time, Jamie. Let me just try to get this out before.
No, do it. Definitely do it.
When you have, like for the Big Ten, each school owns a slice of the Big Ten network. Well, not UCLA, UCLA and USC does. Not Washington and Oregon. They will get their slice 5-6 years from now. But that means right now there are 17 slices. The Big Ten Conference and the 16 schools. Those 17 slices own 39% of the Big Ten network. That's why they get $9 to $10 million each, those universities. just on the Big Ten Network alone, just those third tier games. Okay? It's tied in. They make more money depending on Big Ten, how much money the network makes. It's tied into the network's profitability. The Big Ten Network subscribers, just like every other channel out there, the subscription base has been going lower and lower and lower and lower. And now it's down to about 48 million subscribers. The only reason why the schools haven't been making less, because the subscription numbers have been going down, is because the ad rates have been going up. They've been able to charge advertisers more and more money in the Big Ten Network because the viewership keeps going up. Nielsen is rating it now. The Big Ten Network said, go ahead, Nielsen, rate us, because our women's volleyball, we're getting more and more viewership every single year, even though the subscription numbers are going down. So when we're talking about this thing, this monster, Big Ten Network's going to get it's going to get a very small slice of this, but whatever that is, it's going to pour more money into the network, more money into the Big Ten schools. Same thing with the SEC. They don't have ownership, but they do have a tie-in with the conference. The more money the SEC network makes, the more money the SEC schools make after ESPN gets their cut. And the same thing with the ACC schools. So this is going to have the potential of benefiting. It may be a little too late. Who knows? But
right.
On paper,
well, it's a big,
this could benefit the ACC network. It doesn't really benefit the Big 12 schools. However, maybe the Big 12 can renegotiate with ESPN because they're on ESPN Plus, Big 12 now, but they get a flat fee. It doesn't matter how much the Big 12 now thing grows, but maybe they can renegotiate. Jamie, I'm sorry. I had to get that out. The floor is back to you.
No. I appreciate it. Now I see what you're saying about the networks and how it's tied in. So it makes you wonder, Brett Yormark, I mean, he's done a fabulous job with the Big 12, right? Like he's thinking outside the box. It makes you wonder, he's going to try to tap into this somehow. Like you said, whether it's through a renegotiation with ESPN, or do they try to look at some way to launch a network? It's going to be interesting. I don't know how, I know there's a lot that goes into that. So what he'll try to do, I mean, I'm sure there'll be something because he's been very smart about trying to tap into any kind of revenue he can. But this is wild. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's definitely wild. And like you said, what's happening in Dallas, it's, you can just tell, like you said, I believe 100% that the Power 2, right, that these guys, this whole thing has been about them getting more leverage, getting more money. They're going to set the rules. They're going to set the groundwork. So it's just everybody's trying to tap in and make every buck that they can possibly get. Yeah. I mean, that's just what it all comes down to. So it's crazy. Great show, Greg. Thanks so much. And
thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
We picked Suey.
Yeah. Thank you for the call. Justin Lucas, ACC schools make about $12 million each from the ACC network. They make about $5 million each. The ACC schools, when it comes to conference payouts, they make about $19 million on the tier 1, tier 2, which is very low. I think it's a little bit higher now. Maybe it's 21 million. They make about $9 or $10 million on NCAA tourney credits, bowl tie-ins, their playoff distribution money, and then they make a few $1 million on the ACC network. That's why the ACC payouts are in the mid-30s, high 30s for conference payout per team. If they were making $12 million per school in the ACC network, their payouts would be in the mid to high 40s, or at least in the mid 40s. But that's not how it is. The ACC network, the ACC schools are making about $4 to $5 million. ACC networks. If you go to the Georgia Tech I won't go down that rabbit hole, but schools usually when they release their revenue, they don't separate what they make in their conference network versus all the other media money they get. They just put it in one pile. But if you go through the ACC schools and you know how much they make in Tier 1, Tier 2, and you see how much money they make in media money, you can see how much they make with the ACC network. But anyways, the projections, 11 million, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. I'm not even sure the Big 12 is making that much. Again, if you go, Cameron B, if you go to the Kansas Jayhawks revenue, they never even talk about how much they make from their big. We know the Oklahoma State athletic director came out a couple years ago and said basically the money they get for ESPN Big 12 now pays for the production of, when I'm talking about making, I'm talking about profitability. Because when it comes, I'm going down a rabbit hole. I do not want to go down today because we have so much other big news. But the Big Ten Network, SEC, when you see a school made so much money, that is how much money they brought in after everyone's gotten their cut. But like the Oklahoma State athletic director says, basically what we get pays for our production of all these sports. ESPN does pay for the production of football games on ESPN Plus and some basketball games, but they don't pay for the softball, all those other stuff. The Big 12 schools have to pay for that. Okay. People are getting oranges and apples and bananas all mixed up. Do not want to go down that rabbit hole. Let's go to, we'll get back to this big story. But we got other big stories. We haven't even hit the big story that we had lined up. Inside, we will get to, I promise you all, we're going to get back to the big story of ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery joining, having 1/3 ownership of a streaming platform. Holy smokes. Now, I did not see AEW being a part of that. Is AEW going to be a part of the Warner Brothers Discovery? Are they going to be on the sports app? If you find that out, let me know in the chat. Is AEW going to be a part of that streaming app? Now, we're going to get to the big story. The monster story out of Tampa Bay Times. The great Matt Baker. Inside Project Osceola. Florida State Sports 9-figure private equity plan. An ACC exit by 2026. Naming rights to Doak. They're all mentioned in the 2,500 pages of records we received. Now, we don't go through the whole article. We do not. We do provide a link in the description. We're just going to go over the part about Project Osceola. It's fascinating. The first known mention of the two-word phrase that could revolutionize Florida State sports sits at the top of the third page of a cash projections spreadsheet from September 2022. Project Osceola. The name is a nod to the Seminoles' spear planting symbol. The project is a potential 9-figure private equity investment into Florida State sports that could accelerate conference realignment and touch everything from Tampa Bay Lightning to minor league baseball. The project is a potential 9-figure private equity investment into Florida State sports that could accelerate conference realignment. After the sports business website Sporticle first reported Florida State's private equity talks in August, the Tampa Bay Times requested public records from the Seminoles. The Times received more than 2,500 pages last week. The resulting picture is riddled with redactions and tantalizing, incomplete. Some of the most interesting tidbits are only semi-related, like a potential date for Florida State to leave the ACC and a naming sponsor for Doak Campbell Stadium. It's possible nothing ever materializes beyond due diligence checklists and presentations labeled strictly private and confidential. But the emails, PDFs, and spreadsheets still provide the deepest, albeit preliminary, glimpse of the complex legal theories, detailed financial discussions, and groundbreaking possibilities of Project Osceola. How a private equity investment at Florida State might work. This is a document from J.P. Morgan, lists some of the goals as Florida State University considers private equity investment into the Seminoles athletics in October of 2022. The best explanation comes in a September 2022 email from Ken Arton, a public finance attorney at the firm Bryant Miller Olive. Now, of course, this is Matt Baker. Tampa Bay Times got this in a FOIA request, got all these documents sent to him. State agencies, this is where the email comes from. State agencies, he wrote, generally can't become a joint venture partner, equity partner, and anything that looks like that with a for-profit company. But there's a workaround. There's a workaround, which he called a super license agreement. FSU can move its intellectual property, like logos and names, to a new university entity. The new entity could license the intellectual property to someone else, a private equity firm. The firm would then try to profit off that licensed material by using it better, more efficiently, or in new ways. Within 6 months, the proposed nonprofit entity had a name: FSU New Co. That's the name. The proposed nonprofit entity. The specific intellectual property available from FSU New Co. is redacted. A lot of things redacted in this FOIA. The companies involved: in August 2022, FSU and J.P. Morgan signed a non-disclosure agreement to work on a deal with outside investors. At least 2 private equity firms were interested. We went over this in a report last week. One was with Arctos, the other was 6th Street. FSU signed an exclusivity deal. They're exclusive with 6th Street over the summer. They're almost all redacted beyond a few peaks. Beyond a few peaks here, peek around the corner. In November 2022, it had at least 2 scenarios that had $250 million in private equity. A September 2022 presentation from J.P. Morgan lists some goals for Florida State University regarding a potential private equity investment into Seminoles athletics. 2 scenarios had $250 million. A second set of figures comes from an ACC upside model in January 2023. It lists a $75 million initial investment plus a $50 million follow-up equity investment 4 years later. By 2032, it projects FSU's 2032 cash flow to be $197 million, $46 million more than the no investment scenario. An email from an attorney at Davis Polk in Wardwell outlines Florida State's proposal in June. $25 million up front, another $125 million under redacted circumstances, plus up to $200 million in future debt without consent and without additional limitations. Beyond the cash injection, FSU's goals, including maximizing revenue opportunities to stay nationally competitive, modernizing management structure, ensuring flexibility in any deal, and conducting the process in a way that protects Florida State from negative reaction from important constituents. How? Now, this is the big one. This is the big one. How Florida State would use the money. It's unclear. Arctos and 6th Street both wanted more concrete answers last March. Florida State considered $250 million scenarios. Athletic Director Michael Alford and School Financial Administrator Michael Williams wanted the money up front for capital projects. In other words, not like using the money to pay out from an ACC grant of rights, for example. They wanted it up front for capital projects. JP Morgan's Todd L. Smith responded that Florida State will owe investors a return on that. So collecting it up front, if we don't have immediate need or use, will cost something. Paying off debt would make it easier to divvy up revenue between investors and FSU, according to discussions materials from September 2022. Additional operating expenses were also mentioned. A June discussion included an initial purchase and general basket of money FSU could use on anything. Take a listen here. Additional operating expenses were also mentioned, and a June discussion included an initial purchase and general basket of money Florida State could use on anything. Could that be used to write a check to the ACC? Could private equity fund FSU's ACC exit? This is the question. This is the question that everybody wants to have answered. FSU redacted or withheld records as the school conference litigates the Seminoles' potential $500 million exit from the league. But Florida State's ACC future pops out of the bars of black, out of the redacted. One review featured a general basket, an unexplained conference basket. Again, ladies and gentlemen, in the PATC chat room, general basket. A lot of this information is redacted, but some of it quite wasn't, and this part wasn't. General basket and unexplained conference basket. One of the next steps listed in October 2022, determine use of proceeds, especially in a no realignment scenario. One of the next steps listed in October 2022, determine use of the proceeds of the money, especially in a no realignment scenario. In other words, there is a realignment scenario and how we would use the proceeds, the private equity. By January 2023, there was a quote-unquote leave ACC budget model. Holy smokes. Its commentary is partially redacted, but the conference payouts spike from $43 million in 2025 to $96.4 million the next year. And ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest here. If you have projections of conference payouts from $43 million, conference payouts now, let's first of all, we need to nail this down. Conference payout is all the money that comes into the conference in which they divvy out per the bylaws. So if you're a school that is under penalty or has disassociated, let's just say you're an official withdrawal member or whatever, or it's per the bylaws that the money is delivered to each school. So the conference gets NCAA tourney money. They get bowl tie-in monies. They are the ones who first get their hands on the playoff money. And then, of course, the biggest bucket is the media money. Then all of that gets divvied out to the schools. If you have a conference payout of $43 million, I just went over that, about $19 million of that is it's probably at 20 or 21 now, but that's your tier 1, tier 2 ACC money. And then each school makes about $9, $10, $11 million when it comes to your NCAA tourney money, your bowl money, and the little bit of playoff distribution money that everybody gets right now. That's all it gets divvied up, spread out to all the ACC schools. And then the ACC network, a few $1 million on that. That's how that $43 million. You do not go from $43 million in 2025 to a projected $96.4 million based on more playoff money. Everybody's going to get more. Don't get me wrong. The great gold rush of 2026, everybody's going to make more playoff money. Okay? Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. Everybody's projections are going to take a leap forward, but not from $43 million to $96.4 million. You guys you guys picking up what I'm laying down here? $96.4 million. That's conference payout projection for 2026. How are they going to make $96.4 million? They're not going to make that in the ACC. No offense to the ACC. No offense to ACC fans in the chat room or who are listening to this channel. But the ACC is not projected to make $96.4 million in conference payouts. Conference payouts. I'm not talking about what you make as an athletic department. We're talking conference payout. Who is projected to make around $96.4 million in conference payouts in 2026? Put down the answer in the chat. Put it down in the chat. Who exactly is projected to make $96.4 million in 2026? Jen Fari. That sounds like the Big Ten. I am not quite sure the SEC is projected to make $96.4 million in conference payouts until a couple years after that. And then they're projected to go past the Big Ten in the late 2020s. That's a Big Ten number. Kirk Bender, Big Ten. Steve-O. Karen Smith, Big Ten. Jim Reese, Big Ten. The chat is listening. The chat room is listening. Jonathan Price, Big Ten. Coy, Big Ten. Morris Simmons, Big Ten. 19 national and 45 conference, Big Ten. This is Florida State's projections 2026 being in the Big Ten. I'm going to say it. Even though it's not, a lot of things are redacted in this, right? But that's enough for me. That's enough for the PATC to understand exactly what Florida State is planning on doing. It doesn't mean they're going to be able to achieve it, but they're planning this. I know this is a long article, but this right here is the PATC money shot of the article. Do not let this escape you today. This is the money shot. You do not jump from 43 to 96 in the ACC. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. I think they're projected at around possibly mid-60s, maybe even high 60s. Probably not. Maybe. I mean, the only way that Florida State that could make $96.4 million in conference payout in the ACC is if ESPN bellied up at the bar and said, oh, by the way, everybody, all the ACC schools that are sitting here having their drinks, I'm going to tell you something. We're going to double your Tier 1, Tier 2 pay. Out of the goodness of our hearts, even though we're a publicly held company, go ahead, we're going to give you $40 million a year for your Tier 1, not $20 million. That's the only way this is even possible, and it's not going to happen. Football ticket revenue for home games jumps to. Its 2026 projections are $18.6 million, $3.2 million more than the base case, in part because of the post-ACC exit ticket prices in line with peers. Let me explain what this means. The base case is their projections in this heavily redacted documents that the great Matt Baker of Tampa Bay Times got in a FOIA. That is if they don't get out of the conference. If they do get out of the conference, and if their projections are they're going to get in the Big Ten, it sure looks like that's their projections. They believe they're going to make $3.2 million on football ticket revenue alone, because it's going to be in line with their Big Ten peers. Because ticket prices are a little bit higher in the Big Ten. Shoot, man. Minnesota, that only 50,000, they're less than 50,000 a game. Their stadium only seats 50,000. They average in the mid-high 40,000. Their ticket prices are outrageous. Ticket prices are higher in the Big Ten. They just are. No matter what, no matter if you're the top of the league, the middle of the Big Ten, ticket prices are higher than the middle of the ACC. The low end of the Big Ten is higher football ticket prices than the low end of the ACC. Florida State matching the peers of Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. They're going to make their ticket prices, football ticket prices higher because why? Because those tickets are going to be wanted. Right? Supply and demand. This, and then the last part of the article, the part that we're covering, 6th Street's due diligence tracker had a March request for conference payout details in base case and conference change case. So this private, this private equity is most likely, most definitely, at least part of it, not all of it, but part of it is about conference change. Not all of it. Some of it's about other stuff. But the private equity firm wants to know what is your projections if nothing happens, if you can't get out of the ACC, and then what are your projections if you get to the Big Ten or the SEC? But this sounds like Big Ten to me. For the little part that we see it, what does it look like? Base change or conference change? Florida State is gearing up to write a check to the ACC. Be it $100 million, $0, $120 million, $55 million, $250 million, $72 million, or $500 million. They're going to write the check. And it's a massive story. We were going to cover it at 4 o'clock Eastern time. I do apologize for the lateness of it, but there's other breaking news. I'm going to wait on other stuff I was going to talk about today. I'm going to wait on the Cold War. There's other stories going on. We're going to have to push them aside. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Again, massive news coming out today. Marcus Williams, with Fox and ESPN working together, when it's come to realignment, they could just stay out of each other's way and let each other get their pickings. I would have said a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, I said, Marcus, no, they're not going to work together on realignment. I can't tell you no. Not today. Nope. You're correct, Marcus. And for an old timer like me, this is something else. With Fox and ESPN working together when it's come to realignment, there is the possibility of coordination. No question about it. Now there is. I can't believe I'm even saying that. I can't even believe I'm saying that. I cannot believe I'm saying that. There is the possibility of coordination. I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's happening. I can't go that far. But these advisory group, each Fox and ESPN owning a third of this sports app, streaming platform, standalone app. Yeah, Marcus, you're absolutely correct. Thank you so much for your generosity. I appreciate it once again. Thank you, sir. Stephen McNeely, I apologize for getting behind on just about everything. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Would the private equity firm be able to influence the hiring and firing of subpar coaches? It depends on the written agreement between the two parties. I don't think so. The private equity, they just want their money back and a little bit more, right? I don't think it'd be in the agreement. But whatever in the agreement, I'm going to say no. But who knows, Stephen? Who knows? But thank you for being an early peak member. 2 months. Holy smokes. You, sir, Stephen McNeely, are hereby cloak and dagger knighted once again. Thank you so very much. And for those who are new to the program, become a member. Go to the description, see the link, hit that link, and you'll be able to watch College Football Cloak and Dagger early peak episodes. We did drop an episode this morning, so early peak members, go check it out. A new episode this morning. We also dropped an episode for everybody. A new episode talking about Kirk Schultz being the last remaining holdout. We're about to change the playoff model. 6+6 to 5+7. But Kirk Schultz, he has to vote for it. It's got to be unanimous. Kirk Schultz is holding out for something. I give you my answer and what I think he's going to get out of this. Hopefully, Dallas, Texas meetings have some answers for us later this evening. We are going to open up the phone lines right now. They are open. 763-260-1333. Talk about anything you want. There are two massive stories out there. There's actually more than that, but we're looking at two massive stories. Fox, ESPN, Warner Brothers Discovery, all joining together. One major streaming platform, app, that I think you're going to be able to go back and forth to all these games. And yes, there's a question in the chat. Somebody saying, or a comment, someone saying something to the effect of, well, the big games are not going to be on there. The big games are going to be on there. The Fox games are going to be on there. Your 3:30 Eastern Time, ABC, Alabama, Georgia, it's going to be on there. This is where you're going to go to watch your sports. Now, there are some exceptions. There's NFL football. But all this stuff is going to be on this streaming app. It's a massive story for sports. For people who love sports. For college football, it's a massive story. I pray. As the phone lines are open, I pray. I'm praying for two things. The fat guy from Minnesota is praying for two things. One, that I can easily toggle between my college football games. When I'm doing a watch party here, I want to be able to toggle through games. Number two, the second thing I'm praying for is I want multi-view. Give me more than one game on my screen. I don't care.
Call from
Marcus.
Mr. Williams. Is it Williams?
Yes, it is.
I appreciate your super chats. Thank you for your your generosity to the channel. I absolutely agreed with your last comment. I would have said, Marcus, you're crazy a week ago. I would have said, Marcus, you're crazy a month ago. And now today I say, Marcus, you are a genius. The floor is yours.
First time caller, long time listener.
I love it. Please call all the time.
Well, I can't call all the time. I work a lot and I travel a lot. So,
all right.
So it's easy for me to super chat. But yeah, man, I feel like we're at the precipice of the beginning of a subdivision, almost like a league, kind of like a, how do I want to say it, like a NFL junior almost, between Fox and ESPN working together. In the future, this will be when we see the beginning of that. What say you, Greg?
Probably. The thing is, they're working, so they're willing to work together, ESPN and Fox, obviously, to a certain degree. But, we'll see. I for example, and I've talked about this before, Marcus, it's, Big Ten, the Big Ten and the SEC, the Cold War is over for now, but there is differences. There's differences. They both want different things. The Big Ten would love to move that baseball calendar up a few months, not have it so early, move it up 1 month. SEC is dug in on that. They both have quite a few differences. So I don't know if we're going to ever see a NFL league where it's the Big Ten's the NFC and the SEC is the AFC and but I mean it could happen. I think it's I still think this is large competition between these conferences, different visions. There's a lot of differences. It isn't like the AFL, the old NFL, AFL got together. They just were two different. There weren't a whole lot of differences between the two. They had different markets. But there is differences between the Big Ten and the SEC. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with you, but it could be something kind of like in Europe, how the soccer leagues are separate leagues, right? You have La Liga in Spain, you have the Premier League in England, but they get together for the UEFA, like they have a tournament amongst each other.
True.
I feel like that could be something that ends up happening.
Yeah.
Just between those two leagues, where it's not necessarily and it could involve the Big 12 and what's left of the ACC. It couldn't be like that, but if you follow the money and if you look at where things are moving, the money is the be all end all at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It looks to me, if I project this out and extrapolate it out with the logic of where everything's going, that they're tying themselves together. Why would you tie yourself together financially with the competitor of your opposing conference with their network?
Yeah. No, you're making a lot of sense, sir. It's I think it's more difficult for me, even though this is college football's peek around the corner, and I'm supposedly peeking around the corner, right? The stories that we've been able to break here and stuff. In this regards, I think it's more difficult for me to get my hands around than a bunch of you young guys in the chat watching the show, because for me, just the news that broke that the SEC and the Big Ten have an advisory group together, just that news, that blew me away. Now this is like 10 nuclear bombs going off. Them owning the same streaming platform with Warner Brothers to put all this onto, that's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I was wondering, will the NFC's NFL games, which are broadcast mostly on Fox, will that be on that streaming app?
It doesn't sound like it. Well, it's not in there yet. I don't think so.
Okay, because that'd be weird if the NFC was on there. If the AFC was on CBS, it wouldn't be on there.
And the Big Ten is still going to find great value, with having their second biggest game of the week be on CBS or NBC. So Big Ten has value outside of this. So that's just another. it brings the two conferences closer together, but which is huge. But I'm not quite. I don't think we're going to see any type of a merger or an umbrella over the Big Ten and the SEC for at least the next 8 years. I expect, Marcus, I might be naive here, but I expect some news out of Dallas, Texas today, or at some point, where they get this 8-year college football playoff deal done. The next 2 years and another 6 years, 12-team playoff, where there's playoff access, not just for SEC and the Big Ten. So I don't see all that happening for another 8 years. But you know what? I could be blown away tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am going to say this. Look at the scheduling. Look at the scheduling between the non-conference games of the Big Ten and the SEC. Michigan plays Texas. Mm-hmm. Alabama plays Wisconsin. You could start seeing a more friendly scheduling relationship between Sankey and Patini, where schools will, in effect, you'll be shutting out the rest of the conferences because you'll be playing each other.
Yeah, you're correct. We're already starting to see that. Minnesota's playing Mississippi State, but again, I might be the very last one to die on this hill. I don't see how you can shut out like the Big 12 schools. I don't think that increases the value. There's too much value there. There's too many crazy college football fans there. There's too many crazy college basketball fans there. And I'm not just saying that because there's Big 12 people in the chat. I will shoot you guys straight. I just think that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to have advantages. And I think they're still competing with each other. I don't think it's all kumbaya, unicorns and rainbows. I don't think that. Now, maybe, Marcus, it's because I'm an old, crudging old man, bitter old Gopher fan. Maybe that plays a part in it. But I don't think it's all kumbaya. But this is big news.
I wouldn't say it's kumbaya, but iron sharpens iron. And when you realize you're the top two, you're the last two, the top two, you only grow together, as you work with each other and compete against each other.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Big 12, I'm a Michigan fan, born and raised. Grew up in Iowa, but diehard Michigan fan since I was 3 years old. My earliest memory was the Desmond Howard pose.
Yeah.
But growing up in Iowa, now that Texas and Oklahoma's in the SEC, who in the Big 12 has a viewership, ratings, and a fan base like the Iowa Hawkeyes? Like, who is there? Like, nobody. And that's just a middling. That's a middling Big Ten school.
Well, there's decent sign. They don't have the big markets. That hurts someone when it comes to negotiations because the national advertisers are always looking at big markets, demographics, how much money is in the demographics. But, Oklahoma State's got a big, West Virginia's got a big old football fan base. They don't have a big market. Oklahoma State has a big old fan base. TCU, they fill up their 48,000 stadium. But those the fan bases in the Big 12 are very, very good for the size market that they're in. They exceed half of the Big 10 schools when it comes to fan base intensity versus the market size. What the Big 12 doesn't have is the markets, but they have the fans. I just think there's too much value there. I don't. There's just too much value. But that is, I know a lot of people disagree with me. Yeah.
Now, as far as realignment goes, with this new news coming out, do you think? And I don't want to say they're working together with realignment, but given the fact that they have an advisory group together, I would say it would be a look the other way scenario where Sankey knows that Big Ten really wants FSU and Notre Dame, and Petiti knows that they would like to get UNC Virginia, but even though there's some politics that go on there within the state of Virginia and North Carolina,
Yeah.
I would think it's almost like they're just drawing up. They're on the chessboard and they're just drawing up. They're just carving up what they want, but looking the other way and not assisting each other, but like almost like just letting it go. Like
yeah. So collusion without collusion.
Yeah. Plausible deniability.
Yes. Good. That's good. Yeah. Beautiful. All right,
thanks, Greg. I appreciate the call. I'm just in between meetings, so you have a great day, man. I appreciate it. I love watching your show. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Marcus Williams. Thank you so much. Call again, sir.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. Great call. Michigan Wolverine. Marcus Williams probably did not appreciate me singing Hail to the Victor about 3 times a couple weeks ago, right in a row. He probably did not appreciate that because I sang it off key, but he survived. He gave us a call. Coy, thank you so much once again for your incredible generosity. Gift membership. Holy smokes, Coy. Once again, you are knighted. You are knighted, Cloak and Dagger knighted. Thank you so very much, Coy. I did not catch who got the membership. Let me see if I can see it, if I can find it. I don't know who got it. Let me know who got the membership. John Dowie. John Dowie, you are hereby knighted, Cloak and Dagger knighted membership. Congratulations, John. Go to our YouTube channel or a link that is provided in the description box. There is Cloak and Dagger episodes listed there that you can watch. There was one early this morning. I have gotten behind on the super chats. I do apologize. Steve-O, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for what you do. I thank you for coming on in and being a part of the PATC community. College football's peek around the corner. Thank you so much for your generosity, Steve-O. I do appreciate it. John, Pac-2 plus Boise, Colorado State, Stanford, Cal, Fresno, San Diego, Boston, Syracuse, Wake, Duke, SMU, Tulane, Memphis. Holy smokes. That is a Frankenstein conference. That's enough to give the Pac an automatic bid vote. Whew. I don't know how much you can get from a media company on that. I don't know. And then of course we don't know what's going to happen with the ACC. Let's realignment doesn't sleep, and I think there's going to be a lot of moving around once we figure out what happens to the ACC, and I think something's going to happen quite soon. Thank you, John. Interesting comment. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you once again for your incredible generosity to this channel. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Okay, phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Let me know. Ivy Talk. Holy smokes. Jared Jones, we don't want to leave the Big 12 behind, nor the remaining ACC schools. That'd be dumb. Look, let's be honest about something. These 10 FBS commissioners, soon to be 9. George Kliakoff is not going to have a job after July 1st this summer. So let's just say 9 FBS commissioners. And Notre Dame are in Dallas, Texas. They've just built a compromise around SMU. SMU is not going to get the same playoff distribution money as the Autonomy 4 conferences, but they're going to get more than the G5. I'm thinking there's going to be another compromise when it comes to Washington State and Oregon State, where they get a little bit more than G5, but not as much as power. Autonomy 4 when it comes to voting rights, votes, and distribution money. There's a whole lot of other things they're talking about right now. They're in the room. I find it almost impossible to believe they got to compromise on SMU. If we get the news that Kirk Schultz finally acquiesces and they officially changed that model from 6+6 to 5+7, then they're on the road to figuring out the distribution model, which is the big one, and the total media contract with ESPN, where they're trying to put a clause in there to say that if we want to pull the trigger to expand the playoffs from 12 teams to 16 teams, that we can automatically do it. We don't have to go back to ESPN or whatever additional media company is going to be part of putting out 15 playoff content, 15 games of content instead of 11. Whatever. If all this gets done, ESPN, SEC, and the Big Ten are not walking away. They're not going to walk away. That'd be too much bad faith. Bad faith negotiations. If the G5 have already acquiesced, they've already said 6+6 to 5+7, good. SMU compromise, ACC, they said okay. The SEC and the Big Ten are getting their way. I cannot see them walking away. Everything that we're talking about, Power 2, breakaway, that's an 8 years away. It ain't going to happen tomorrow, in my strongly held opinion.
Call from
JD, big news. Florida State, the great Matt Baker, Tampa Bay Times. Woo! Big article for ya. Florida State eyeing the 2026 exit to be out of the ACC by 2026. JD, did you catch my monologue when I went through that?
I caught most of it.
You caught that part where they have projections? Let me put it up on the screen. Did you catch that?
I caught that part. And one of the things I wanted to let you know, you collect money in 2026 from 2025. So I think FSU has every intentions of being out by 2025. There's actually the conspiracy theories, and actually I got to quit calling things conspiracy theories, because every time I call something a conspiracy theory, it becomes true. Everything that's going on, this collaboration from the networks, all the rest of this, that's been talked about on the FSU boards. When I say ESPN being the hub, I'm talking about ESPN being the infrastructure for a lot of these other networks, and then the networks are collaborating. You know, Regal knows Nostradamus. I mean, we don't have to suggest that his theories are just outrageous, because they are becoming true one after the other, right in front of our faces. We know he's connected. We know who he is as far as his role in all this. And so I have to give him a little, some accreditation here, because he's been tipping us off for years on things that are going on behind the scenes. But going back to your original talk, Sixth Street Partners, Drew Weatherford, one of the Board of Trustee members, is a part of Sixth Street Partners.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, why they didn't want to share with that other outside group. There's a lot of other stuff talking about building a new baseball stadium and possibly sharing that with a minor league team. There's just a lot of projections. The renovations going on to the stadium right now and other things. Concert venues. They've had concerts at the stadium, but there's going to be a more multi-use of all the facilities. So yeah, it's they've got really, really big plans, and I'm excited to hear about it. I just like that they called it Project Osceola because it sounds cool too.
Yes. Yes.
Got a little more espionage to it,
Yes.
But yes, sir. I'm excited. I really am. And in this news today, people were kind of saying this was going to be a big week. This was going to be a big week. And you're sitting there saying, "Oh, is FSU announcing this week?" All these media companies are now business partners. They're business partners. So what does that say down the road for media rights of individual teams? FSU is going to get out one way or the other if they have to buy their way out. But let's say the grant of rights holds for a little while longer. What does it mean when North Carolina is trying to get out? Well, they're probably going to go to the SEC. So you're looking at the trading of media rights and everything else, and then also there's. To be honest with you, I think the grant of rights is unenforceable. To be honest with you, that's just my opinion. There's been some people online that have talked about that. I just think it is because you didn't sign a contract with ESPN. You've got an agreement with the ACC, but ACC's got an agreement with ESPN. So if you're giving a mechanism to leave the conference, once you do. ESPN holds your broadcast rights, but they don't have any contractual obligation. There's nothing contractually obligating you to ESPN. But regardless, they've already game planned all this out. None of this is mystery. FSU's lawsuit wasn't a surprise to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rambling here. Anytime you want to pop in.
You're right. Jim Phillips was expecting it, right?
ESPN was expecting it.
Yeah.
ESPN was going to. And here's one of the conspiracy theories. This lawsuit is cover for the networks. What does that mean? I don't know. They haven't fully elaborated on this. A couple of insiders, but the lawsuit is cover. Plausible deniability, those kinds of things get thrown out there in like little cryptic messages. And we don't even really know what those things mean until we see it, we see it coming, and it just, we know FSU's going and, what's going to happen with the other ones, the other ACC teams, I don't know. And I go back and forth on whether or not we are actually going to go to just a P2 and then everybody else has their own. But I don't know.
We're going to know in terms of we should have a countdown. I should put my peek around the corner blackboard back here, and we should have a countdown clock. I'm gonna start that tomorrow. A countdown clock, a day clock in terms of this is how many days ESPN has to file their brief, right? In regards to the ACC being able to seal their contracts or not. I think we're down, to 18 days? Is it 18 or 19?
Yes, sir. Well, we've already had some of the lawyers kind of chime in, and they're like, it doesn't matter what the North Carolina judge has to say. In the end, it won't hold, and they'll all be made public record.
Gosh.
It's Florida law. You've engaged into a contract with the state of Florida. It doesn't matter what you do. what you say, you have entered into negotiations. You've entered into contracts with representatives of the state of Florida, and state of Florida law will trump any of that. And we've already had a couple of the lawyers chime in, and they're like, there'll be a little song and dance, and ESPN is fully aware.
But even if that is true, JD, and I apologize for interrupting you.
No, you're good.
Even if that is true, that eventually all the dockets are going to be open up, we might be able to glean something out of ESPN's response, right? Now I could be wrong, but we might be able to figure out what is ESPN's support of the ACC going forward, and how they answer with this brief.
Well, let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say ESPN does not want to renew the contract with the ACC. They know FSU's leaving. They know other teams are likely to leave. So let's just say that they're still going to have to go through the motions and act as though they're fighting everything, knowing that they're going to lose. As far as keeping everything, undisclosed, out of the public view. So their lawyers are going to come in and they're going to file their answers, and they're going to try to, talk about trade. This is trade secret, blah 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 blah. Go through the whole thing, and they might be successful initially, but in the end they won't. And they're going to have to act as though they were trying to save the network. And then when they eventually lose as far as on all those points, on keeping everything quiet, I'm not guaranteeing they're going to, the ACC is going to lose their case. I think they are if they tried to take it to court. I don't think they want to take it to court. I don't think John Swofford wants to be on the stand. I'm not going to go down the whole Raycom rabbit hole again, but you can't tell me there isn't something there. There's something there. And but at the same time, ESPN will have to act as though they were fighting to keep the conference in the deal together, and then in the end they might, have the stance, well, this is no longer financially viable, and we're going to have to either cancel the contract or renegotiate the contract or whatever. But there's a lot of potential lawsuits that could be thrown in several different directions, and everybody's their lawyers have told them they've game planned all this. I am now to the point that none of this is a surprise, and this stuff has been game planned. Again, these conspiracy theories are becoming true one right after the next, and a lot of us are concerned about the SEC and the Big Ten getting together, but with the lack of leadership in the NCAA, I guess you can't wait on the bureaucrats anymore. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these conferences now and these networks, the absence of leadership from the NCAA has created the vacuum where now the conferences and the networks are assuming control. They are. And whether that's for the betterment or if, for just the detriment of college sports. Right now, I wish college sports was back the way it was 7 or 8 years ago when you had 5 strong Power 5 conferences, somewhat strong,
yeah.
But we're here now. The SEC and the Big Ten broke, the the structure as it was before, and now there's this huge imbalance. Well, all right. Well, if you broke it, fix it. If you're just fixing it just to better yourselves, well, again, I'm a capitalist, but I'm not sure that's in the best interest of everybody. But if in the end we somewhat fix college sports to where it's a good model again, or at least better than what it is now, then maybe I'll say it's a good thing. I'm the NCAA is at the bottom of my list for all the entities that I don't like. The NCAA is they're at the very bottom. They're inept, they're useless, and there needs to be a different governing structure, or whoever is in charge needs. You need wholesale changes. Anyway, I'm rambling here.
You got it.
Pipe in anytime.
All right, I appreciate it, JD.
All right, sir. Have
Thanks
a good
for
evening.
the phone call, man. JD, this is Seminole. Great call. I'm going to close the phone lines down for just a moment. I want to get to an article here out from ESPN in regarding the Big Ten and the SEC's new joint advisory group. Before I do so, please, if you're new to the channel or if you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel and have your notifications on. We have college football, peek around the corner, talking everything college football. We can come on in the morning, in the noon time, at night. I could come on and have a late night show if we have some big breaking news. I can't imagine there's still some stuff out there. But anyways, so please subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. If you don't like our content, hit the thumbs down button. Let me know in the chat or on X at Flug Empire. Let me know how we can better serve you, the college football fan. If you want to join our membership, Early Pete Cloak and Dagger membership, go and hit the join button. There's a link in the description box below the video and a super chat. Hit the $sign, put a comment in. We'll get to it as soon as possible. We're going to go to Pete Thamel's tweet, and then we're going to go to an article written by Dan Murphy. Pete Thamel, analysis on the Big Ten and the SEC's new joint advisory group and what it means. The word settlement came up with sources as a topic that's unified the leagues, which could include a path to revenue sharing through court settlement. So this is a situation where the courts having to pay off all this money, that's bringing the Big Ten and the SEC together, which could include a path to revenue sharing through the court settlement. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Dan Murphy's article, ESPN. It just dropped a little bit ago. What will the Big Ten and the SEC partnership look to accomplish? The most important thing to know about the burgeoning cooperation of the Big Ten and the SEC announced last week is not to call it an alliance, let alone the alliance. The ill-fated and roundly mocked Conference Alliance of August 2021 was a ham-handed move, but most notably, it was the ACC, Pac-12, and the Big Ten acting defensively in response to the SEC's acquisition of Oklahoma and Texas. This joint advisory group announced last week between the Big Ten and the SEC should be viewed more as a bellwether for where college sports are going, and the desire of SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and the Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti to be proactive. It will be a consultant for the two leagues, but won't have the authority to implement changes. So this is a bellwether. This is a place for those two conferences to communicate between the presidents and the athletic directors, because those are the people who are going to be part of the composition of the advisory group. While further details remain unclear, the Big Ten and SEC are sharing ideas to carve a path forward for college sports, something NCAA leadership has failed to do for a generation, capped by the recent flop of the Transformation Committee. This isn't a breakaway. A Point Sankey and Petiti have done great gymnastics to point out. I don't think it is either. I have said that. I don't think a breakaway, what I mean by breakaway is the Big Ten and the SEC says bye-bye and leaves everybody else. I don't think it's even possible. But we shall see. At least for another 8 years. We shall see. I could be wrong. This isn't a breakaway. A Point, Sankey, and Petiti have done great gymnastics to point out. It's rather an arrow pointing toward progress, ranging from micro issues such as squabbles in the college football playoff, governance, access, and monetary distribution, to larger scale issues all the way up to Congress. Here's what's definitive about this new linking. These leagues don't want Eastern Michigan having a say in what happens at Michigan or Florida International affecting Florida. They don't, for example, want Dartmouth basketball team's unionization effort to impact Auburn and Iowa's football team's futures. The SEC and the Big Ten are cool on the new NCAA President Charlie Baker's proposal that calls for a new tier of Division I, which includes $30,000 payments to at least half of the school's athletes and allows schools to make name, image, and likeness deals directly with athletes. One of the reasons the SEC and the Big Ten breaking away isn't rooted in reality comes from the Supreme Court ruling in 2021 in the NCAA versus Alston case. The ruling stresses time and again that conferences are free to forge individual paths forward. So where could this SEC and the Big Ten partnership show up to forge the future of college sports? The simple answers are lawsuit settlement and revenue share. Multiple sources told ESPN there's a lot of chatter that this SEC and Big Ten arm linking could manifest itself amid the thicket of lawsuits facing the NCAA. Some of the wealthiest conferences want to find a way to settle those suits, particularly the billions of potential exposure of House versus NCAA, and use the settlement structure to create a path forward. This is not simple, nor is it inevitable, as it's complicated play that likely would involve Congress. But as one industry source told ESPN on the building settlement chatter, Congress doesn't want to save us. They want to help us. There's a big difference. Sources pointed to House versus NCAA case, a class action lawsuit that has the NCAA facing a multi-billion-dollar payout in damages to former athletes. We've covered this over and over again. If a federal judge decides the association's old prohibition on NIL deals violated federal antitrust laws, that case is scheduled to go to trial in January 2025, but it could be settled before then. All of the so-called Power 5 conferences, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12, are listed as defendants in the House case, which is part of the reason they could be motivated to settle. This spring appears to be the optimal window for settling. The NCAA is also facing 2 other open antitrust complaints and a federal lawsuit that argues that all college athletes should be considered employees of their schools. There's no clean path to settlement, and the circles around those talks are typically tight. But could the Big Ten and SEC spearheading some type of settlement, perhaps some multi-lumen cases, mean they agree to pay some of the past damages and figure out an approved structure to revenue share with athletes going forward? I say yes, yes, and yes. Other leagues could and will follow along. With revenue sharing with athletes seemingly inevitable at some point, would this be a way to instill it? We're going to skip. We're going to see if there's anything new here. No, that's about it. So, a lot of news there as well. Holy smokes. So, again, sources are telling ESPN this is not about a breakaway, a Big Ten and the SEC breaking away from everybody. This is about them. Hopefully, it's an arrow. It focuses, it builds consensus among the 2 conferences. And then it helps that it gives a better chance for the Big 12 and the ACC and everybody else to follow along. I don't think any of this is about a breakaway. Maybe a new governing body down the road, but the conferences are going to become stronger. We talked about this. NCAA versus Alston, the Supreme Court, they gave the nod, the wink to everybody that they find the conferences legitimate. They don't find the NCAA legitimate. So conferences, they're going to be making the rules, enforcement. But again, this is not about a breakaway. Now, Dallas, Texas, today, Tuesday. If how do I say this? The SEC and the Big Ten shot across the bow of everybody else. When they said everybody's going to have to get in line here. We've got to make things move now. Or we could do something radical. Okay? They use their leverage. They use their power, their influence. They are the power too. But I think the Big 12 and the ACC and the G5 they're going to work with this. They're going to work with it because it's better for them. And I think we've already seen some movement. We've seen some positive movement with the SMU settlement. Kirk Schultz, you better stop holding up the model change of 6+6 to 5+7. Hopefully we'll get news tonight. Or else we're doing this live show about more positive movement out of Dallas, Texas. Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give me a call. Peek around the corner. Holy smokes. Unbelievable. The breaking news of today. Breaking news of today. Inside Project Osceola, Florida State Sports 9-figure private equity plan. An ACC exit by 2026. And then at the very end of the article, this is the part that really jumped out. One of the next steps listed in October 2021. These were documents. 2,500 pages. that Matt Baker, the great Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times, was able to gather, was able to get from FOIA requests. A lot of it was redacted, some of it wasn't. This part was one of the next steps listed in October 2022 determine use of proceeds, especially in a quote-unquote no realignment scenario. By January 2023, there was a quote-unquote leave ACC budget model. Its commentary is partially redacted, but conference payouts spike from $43 million in 2025 to $96.4 million the next year. Conference payouts. We're not talking about total athletic department revenue. We're talking conference payouts. The ACC is not going to be able to jump from $43 million to $96.4 million in conference payouts. This is the leave ACC budget model. That, by the way, 6th Street is interested in seeing, and Florida State delivered it to them. That jump to me looks like a Big Ten jump. A Big Ten payout of $96.4 million conference payout for 2026. So that was the big news, and of course, big not crushing, an amazing bombshell just blew up everywhere as we started the show. Justin Lucas in the chat gave us the heads up. Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers Discovery are coming together with one streaming platform, one streaming app. They're all going to own 1/3 of it. And on this app, you're going to be able to watch ESPN, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ABC, of course, Fox 1, Fox, TBS, TNT, True TV, Big Ten Network. Unbelievable. Give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking. 763-260-1333. Holy smokes. Alex Sherman says there's a lot of takes about this already. My read is this is essentially a gap offering. This is a skinny bundle for people who don't want ESPN direct-to-consumer offering that's to come and also don't want cable. How many people is that? I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot of people. I think it's going to be a lot of people. We shall see. It's a fascinating, what's fascinating about this is how these networks are gonna, how is this revenue gonna be distributed among Warner Brothers, ESPN, and Fox? They all own 1/3.
Call from
Abby,
the floor is yours. Thanks for giving me a call. What's going on, sir?
Oh, I'm kind of losing my voice, so can you hear me okay,
I can
Greg?
hear you. Beautiful. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you know what I see this digital platform thing as? It's the newest form of the Big Ten Network, which what was the Big Ten Network? That we aren't going to depend on somebody else showing our content. we're going to show it ourselves. Well, if you're these sports channels, why should we depend on Amazon or YouTube or Netflix? Why don't we show it ourselves? And that's what this is. This is getting rid of a middleman.
Yeah. I agree.
And they can make more money that way. The money comes directly to us. The middleman money comes to us.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely correct. It's more efficient. It's more. It's a less.
It's more direct.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what this is really about, and it's going to hurt all those other streaming services that show sports. It just is.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, and also, why should they provide their content once they're competitors to these other people? Come here to us to get it, and then especially if Fox brings along Fox News, you don't even need to get a news channel. You've got it here with these, and so why have them? That's really what I see going on with this. Is getting rid of a middleman in the sports media market world. And the easiest way to do that is they said, why don't we just combine and do it together? And it's a very interesting.
Yes, it is. Do you have an opinion on how will this revenue get split between the three owners? Because not everybody's providing the same amount of value, in my opinion. I mean, Warner Brothers.
No.
I find the TNT, TBS, the Max. I mean, they're not bringing the same value as ESPN, or at least for me. I don't know how they separate the revenues, and then how does the negotiation start with if I don't know how much this is going to be. Let's just say it's $40. I don't know what the money is. $80, whatever it is, right?
Say it's something like the NFL Network or the NFL, where you pay extra for this thing, so it's an extra $300 a year or something like that. I don't know what it'll be.
But whatever, however this, how do they determine how much money goes into the Big Ten network bucket, or how much it goes to the SEC network bucket?
I don't think it's that hard, Greg. You combine content with ratings. And I think these are media people that are putting it together. If there's anybody who can figure out a formula combining those two things, these people can.
Yeah, SEC network is not even rated. Big Ten network is. So, I don't know.
But they all have internal ratings. I mean, they know what the ratings are for those games and stuff. And you just combine amount of content plus. But no, also if it's all this stuff, you factor in hits. Which ones are getting the hits? Which ones are getting watched? You can tell that on any streaming service. You can tell what people are watching and not watching, or what they're hitting and not hitting.
I hope, I pray for two things on this app. One, it's easy to toggle in between games, and number two, some multi-view potential with this app.
The multi-view potential, I think, is more interesting. That you could have quadruple split we got these big screens. You could quadruple split a screen and have 4 different games going at the same time. I think that's much more interesting, and that will draw people. That will draw interest. So I don't have to. I don't have to take my channel clicker and click and flip around. But I think that's what this is. This is just the plan. It's just a plan right now to eliminate a middleman. Did they give a time frame in the article?
They did, and I can't. The time frame is blowing my mind. It's the fall of 2024.
This fall?
Yeah.
This fall?
Yes.
Well, who's the streaming provider?
They're going to have their own standalone. They are the streaming. They don't have a name for it yet, but it is a standalone. It's them.
Well, I guess maybe Fox and ESPN have enough streaming. Fox and ESPN probably have enough streaming people in their media companies they can do this.
Yeah, but yes, but it will have its own employees, right? It will have its own. It'll
have its own offices.
Yeah. Yes.
I wonder where Home Central will be. Like for the NFL when they do the streaming, like the reviews and stuff. It's New York City, or I think Major League Baseball might be New York City. I mean, I wonder where home base will be, where that actually oversees all this stuff. That'll be an interesting question.
Yes.
Because ultimately there will be one hub. There just will be. There'll be one hub. There'll be one server central station.
Yeah.
Where it all has to come together and go back out. And it'll be interesting to see what city gets chosen for that, or what. That's why I asked what media company is doing this. That I can't. They're not built between now and fall. They're not building it, so they're using one that exists.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Very good point.
And so that's why it'll be interesting to see where is the mother. Where's the mothership of this new network? Where's it going to be? It'll be an interest, and you may know at that point who was the driver. Is it a Fox place or is it an ESPN place? You may know by then.
I don't think it's Fox, because they don't even have their own streaming service. I think,
but ESPN does.
Yeah, I think it's ESPN is probably the mothership on this.
So maybe New York or Connecticut.
Yeah.
But and the other thing, I thought this last night when I agree with all the stuff that's come out that you just read through. I only listened to like the last half hour of your show or so.
No problem.
Just catching up.
It's been a long.
I'm glad you did a review of the day.
Yes.
You've had quite a show today.
Yes. Every show seems to be like this now. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to do things for next year, it has to happen now.
Yes, sir.
Although FSU leaving by 2026, like I said, that's not the biggest surprise. Some people wouldn't be shocked if they were free by next year. I mean, although I imagine when a lot of the stuff you're reading about, when they were talking about it in 2022, they thought 2026 was soon.
Yeah.
But with the Big Ten and the SEC, the biggest thing out of this is just who are the decision makers going forward. And that's what this, one, as you reported, the whole reason they're having these meetings is because they got looked at the NCAA meetings. They said, tell us what you want.
Yeah. Yes.
That's why they're doing these meetings, because they got asked that question and they didn't have a good response.
Yeah.
And so they're actually having these meetings at the behest of the NCAA, but the ramifications of this is that's why it's just the Big Ten and the SEC. But they didn't invite Notre Dame in along with them. They didn't invite anybody else in along with them to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's just the Big Ten and the SEC. And that's more the harbinger, not a breakaway, but who's the decision makers.
Yes. Yep. I agree. Yep.
And that's why people want into the Big Ten or the SEC. And if you're Notre Dame, how much has Notre Dame's influence waned in a year and a half?
A lot. A lot. Well, I mean, internally in the ACC, they've pushed their agenda and they've gotten some stuff done. But
barely.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
It took everything they had to get Stanford and Cal in.
Yes.
It almost didn't happen anyway.
Yes.
And I thought that was a harbinger, because 5 years ago they would have just said yes, and it would have been done in a week, and it was a fight. And if you're Notre Dame, and that's always been Notre Dame's position for independence, they can be independent, and it's not a matter of access. Like you say, the G5 will have access. It's a matter of decision making, and Notre Dame with this is no longer a decision maker.
Yes. Yep. And I think I got a feeling that means something's going to happen here with Notre Dame. For the first time in my life, Notre Dame is not at the highest level of college football when it comes to power and influence. Yep.
No, it's way a year and a half ago, and I kind of mentioned this last time. After USC and UCLA joined the Big Ten, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Remember in the fall, it was about, Oregon and Washington jumped right on board, and Notre Dame was part of that right away in the fall. And at the time, if Notre Dame had come in then, they could have written their check. They could have anything they wanted. In less than a year and a half, I mean, they would certainly be welcomed into the Big Ten, but it's no longer quite the blank check that it was a year and 3 months ago. At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. No, I hear you.
You know, a year and 3 months ago, if they said we want in and we want Stanford or Cal in with us, the Big Ten would have taken Cal to get Notre Dame. Not now.
Yeah. You're right. I agree with you. Man, oh man, it's called quickening. Things are quickening up. The changes.
And it's quickening. And if anybody wants to know, is the media companies to blame? What's ultimately the root of this, as you keep saying, is lawsuits, and the lawsuits are coming from the students.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And yes, because there's so much media money involved, and they want their share. Yeah. Fine, but understand the lawsuits are coming from the players, present and past. And it's about trying to find a place of equity.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, the saddest thing are that we're going to get more cases like this is Oregon State and Washington State. Because in order to provide the highest equity for a bunch of players, there's only so many institutions that can actually do that. If you take NIL, the idea of equity with the media money, how do we provide that to the greatest number of players? Well, there's only so many institutions that money can funnel through to so many players. That's what's going on. I mean, that's really what's going on. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's going to come down to contracts. It's got to come down to contracts.
Yeah. Yeah, we need stability. So we need contracts. We need a collective bargaining. We need all of that. Let's get it done. Let's go.
Oh, and I can tell you, I think yesterday you also talked about when should signing day be. I know the coaches would love to have a signing day at the end of July so they wouldn't have to be recruiting as hard through the season.
Yes. You can't have it in December. Not anymore. No way.
No.
Yeah.
Frankly, you can't have it in February. Yeah. Well, you can, but February is when the transfer portal really opens. It's when the free agency period, as it were, opens. And you can have one in February, but what's 6 months later after February? You're at the beginning of August or end of July. And you need one before the season starts. So that they know they have so many players committed and they can go on from there. But yeah, I can tell you from the coach's point of view, there's a reason why they put the one in December, because it wasn't feasible to having to be recruiting until February and having other coaches try to steal your committed players. It was a mess. So anyway, I'm taking too much of your time. I'm sorry about that, Greg.
No, you're not. You did great, Bobby. I appreciate it. Love you. Love your calls.
Oh well, just like I say, keep up the good work. And I agree with you. The only solution to this is going to be conference revenue sharing, collective bargaining, and contract.
Yes. Yep.
On behalf, at least, of the conferences that can do it.
Yep. I agree.
And for the people, that's the other thing I was thinking. For the people who don't understand, why did the courts cite the conferences and not the NCAA? Historically, the NCAA didn't exist. It was the teams and the conferences who realized they needed a regulating body who created the NCAA. The NCAA is not a government institution.
No.
It's an institution started by the universities and colleges to self-regulate.
Yes.
And that's why the conferences and the universities and the colleges are still more important than the NCAA.
Yes. Yep.
And that's why the courts ruled that way. The NCAA is secondary. It's not that we tend to think of, government governing bodies. That's not what this is. And so, and it's also part of the reason it's a mess, because you've got every college from very small to very big in it. But I'll let you go, Greg. God bless you. Great show.
Appreciate it, Bobby. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Great call. Great call. I just wanted to show everybody something here. Give me a moment here. Let me find it again. Let me find it. So, I don't want that there. Okay. So, this was this Ben Koo asked a question to Bob Thompson. Bob Thompson is the former Fox president. Good point here on ownership split. Warner Brothers Discovery is without the NFL, college football, and doesn't have the NBA Finals. Guessing the revenue distribution perhaps will not be even. Bob Thompson says the Wall Street Journal reporting equity and ventures 1-3 each. Uneven revenue distribution seems to be the most likely setup. However, I know I was just talking about that earlier. They both are going to have 1/3 ownership. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery. But Warner Brothers Discovery isn't going to get the same amount of revenue, and they're not bringing in the same value, in everybody's opinion. However, keep in mind, all the rumors, we've had a lot of rumors about Warner Brothers Discovery merging, taking over CBS, which has Paramount. So if that happens, then look, Warner Brothers Discovery will bring even more to the table. So keep that in mind. Warner Brothers Discovery, there has been new reports out there for a while about them acquiring CBS. And of course, what goes with CBS is Paramount. I don't know. I do not know. Reese just said that. Early peak member. Yep, I think so. So that means that means it's more equitable between the three companies. Anyways, we are going to shut it down in this live show. We've been on the air for 3 hours and 13 minutes, or close to that anyways. If we need to come on live again later tonight, I will do so. Because we're waiting for Dallas, Texas news, breaking news. but we got to compartmentalize. We got to cut this up a little bit. We just had massive story after massive story. I didn't even talk about. I haven't even. There's a couple big stories out there I didn't even touch in this live story. I'm probably going to produce some episodes for tomorrow on it. So we're doing the best. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football, but there is waves and waves of breaking news, and the boat is starting to leak. And remember, a ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. John A. Shedd, 1928. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. We built this YouTube college football channel, the Rebel Outpost, for all of you college football fans. We're out there not because it's safe, because it's not. We built this for big old waves, and the big old waves are hitting us today, yesterday, the day before. They're going to hit us tomorrow. So buckle up, brace for impact. I want to thank you all for being with us during this live show. Before you leave, please subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button if you like the content. And please share the video with your family and friends. Tell your loved ones about college football's peek around the corner. Thank you for the wonderful donations, the new memberships. Again, if you are interested in becoming an early peek member, go to the description below the video. There's a link. Hit the link, hit the join button, become a member of this growing, dramatic, incredible PATC community. Hit the join button. And thank you for your patience early in the show when I had to call 3 timeouts early in the first half because we were getting bombarded with big time breaking news. If you missed the start of the show, go back and watch it. Holy smokes. Wow. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please,